Nearly 20,000 people have been forced to leave their homes as Tropical Cyclone Alfred nears the Queensland coast in Australia. Laura joins me now with more. So, Laura, it's now not expected to hit until later on tomorrow.
That's right, Sam. The cyclone has continued to slow and loop off the coast, which has meant the forecasts of when it arrives keep being pushed out. It's now expected to hit the Moreton Bay Islands first tomorrow morning as a Category 2 cyclone, and then as it reaches the mainland, it will be a Category 1. But it's already brought heavy rainfall, large swells, one wave measuring nearly 17 metres off Brisbane's coast, and gusty winds across the 2 states in its path. Gold Coast battered with 100k winds overnight, and Alfred hasn't even arrived yet. But when the cyclone does, its effects will be felt for hours.
The period during which it's likely to cross will be a little bit more extensive because it's likely to slow down as it hits those offshore islands, stalling a little bit before it eventually reaches the mainland coast.
Rubberneckers have been put on notice and could be fined up to $16,000.
This isn't a time for sightseeing or for seeing what it's like to experience these conditions firsthand. Please stay safe.
People are being told to stay home if you can.
The advice very clearly from the SES is to stay off the roads unless you have to travel because you're part of those evacuation orders.
For tens of thousands of people, they have had to leave their homes and businesses.
We knew it would happen. That's why everything's on wheels. We had time frames on how long everything would take to get out.
In New South Wales, people living in the places marked with a red triangle have been told to evacuate. The ones in orange must prepare to do the same.
Seek shelter, go to family and friends first. There are emergency evacuation centres that are located if there are no alternatives, but we have to reiterate the message that these are more of a life raft rather than a cruise ship.
Power remains an issue. Nearly 50,000 homes in northern New South Wales are without electricity.
This is as a result of high winds moving through those communities, knocking over power poles, knocking over trees and making it a very hazardous situation.
And crews won't be put in harm's way to fix the faults.
What it means for residents is they need to hunker down. They could be without power for several days now.
4 million people live in areas that are or could be affected by the cyclone. Airports aren't operating flights, there's no public transport, and supermarkets, schools and shops are closed in areas at risk.
When nature does its worst, Australians are at our best. We rally, we lift each other up, we look out for our neighbours, we look out for our local community. Communities come together at a time like this.
And ahead of a cyclone that these areas haven't experienced in more than 50 years. And there's already flooding here in the seaside town of Moreton Bay. The Bureau of Meteorology says to expect dangerous and life-threatening flash flooding when Tropical Cyclone Alfred hits tomorrow.